felt like a lot of people.
Yeah. So you already did one session?
Yep. Session 1 is done on my lunch break, and then I'll go back after this.
Okay.
There are a lot of people that there at that gym.
Yeah, I think now. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
No, you can answer. It's a good question.
Well, now that we're all kind of like not hiding in back, but now with semis prep in full swing, everyone's like, at their strict workout time. So we got to share the space.
Things are getting a little more serious now.
Things are heating up.
What is last week there were even some international athletes that were in town.
Yeah. Facundo had like his camp with some of his athletes from Europe, and so.
And was there one guy from South America too?
I don't know.
It is a lot of people. When that happens, there's a lot of people there.
You mean Guy?
He's always there. He never leaves.
No, there was some. I was traveling this past weekend as well. I was at a grid league training camp, but I was kind of looking at what was going on, and I saw someone tagged in one of the pictures that I didn't recognize. I thought it might have been a South American athlete, but
I think so. I think there was 2 South American athletes, and then from the UK as well.
Yeah, Dan Ty.
Yeah.
So you made some new friends.
Yeah. We got to watch each other.
Dan's a good guy. Yeah. And I believe his girlfriend came too.
Yeah, I think her name is Safira.
It's Sapphire. It's
Sapphire.
a common name.
Sapphire. Yeah.
Yeah. She was injured last season, and they had to use an alternate on their team, and they still snagged the last spot out of the European semis. It was a pretty cool and dramatic story for them.
Yeah.
But they're really nice people.
I know. Sorry. There's comments. I don't know if you get to see the comments, but
yeah, I can see them.
Okay, but Draw Your Dagger. He's one of the content creators in the space. Probably one of the best content creators on there. One of our biggest supporters. But we love him for his comedy and his love of Brian. So. So don't mind us. There's a lot of. It's kind of like when you go in a conversation and there's like, and you're with a group of people and there's like an inside joke.
Yeah.
So you're like that person coming into that group and not know what the inside jokes are, but you laugh uncomfortably, like, oh, I get it.
That's gonna be this whole interview.
No. Actually, the whole interview is gonna be about you. So you're gonna be a part of your inside joke. So.
Yeah.
But actually, it's not a bad question because you're not. I don't believe that you were born in Cookeville, Tennessee.
No, we didn't even know Cookeville was a place.
None of us knew that Cookeville was a place until somewhere between 2010 and 15. Yeah. Come on, Patrick, you knew Cookeville, Tennessee before that?
Yeah,
Army stuff.
No, Division I athletics.
Okay.
I knew about Tennessee Tech before. Yeah,
before Rich Froning did. Probably.
Before Rich Froning, yeah. You forget I'm older than Rich, so. But yeah,
we didn't forget.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. See what I have to deal with.
Because Rich Froning and I are the same age, and I certainly know that Patrick's older than me.
Thanks, dude. But yeah, I knew about Cookeville was known because of Tennessee Tech, and now it's not known for Tennessee Tech as much as it's known as basically the mecca of CrossFit. But yeah.
But and maybe that's what drew you there. But we'll go further back than that. Before you ever heard about CrossFit Mayhem, Nina, where are you from and what were you doing in your life prior to Cookeville, Tennessee?
So I was actually born in New Hampshire, but I only spent like a small time of my life there. We moved around a whole bunch. My parents were actually elite athletes. My mom was a elite gymnast. My dad was a European karate champion. And
karate?
So yeah.
Wait. When you say a European karate champion, was he like in all of Europe or from a specific region or country?
I never asked that question, but he always says European, so I'm gonna assume you're the whole.
All right, we're gonna go with him. We're gonna say he was at one point the best karate expert in Europe.
So good genetics.
Yeah. So their dream was to open up their own gymnastics gym and have, offer karate and dance. And so that's what they did when they moved here. And I I grew up in the gym and started coaching, and they were my coaches. So that's why you see that picture there. I was a competitive coach for my athletes, but yeah.
What level is that you're coaching?
It's like so gymnastics has changed a lot throughout the years, and now they have this new thing called Excel. So it's kind of like optionals, but not really. It's a little bit more freedom than like the lower levels.
Patrick has attended some high-level gymnastics competitions recently through his photography.
Yeah, I used to work in collegiate athletics. So in one of the sports, I used to be a collegiate athlete, and then I transitioned to cover college sports in general for universities. And when I went to Missouri, was the first time I was introduced to collegiate gymnastics, because up to that point, I just thought it was like gymnastics. You just show up for tryouts and you make an Olympic.
No.
That was gymnastics. I didn't realize it was like, back then, like youth baseball and stuff like that, or youth soccer. And then, we had all these people coming in. I had to write bios for them. And then a lot of the bios that we got at Missouri, like, level 10 gymnast. I'm like, what does level 10 mean? What does that mean? Is that good? Is there, how many levels is there? But yeah, that's how I got to learn about like camp gymnastics and collegiate gymnastics. But yeah. So what level did you compete collegiately?
Yeah, no, I was not nowhere near that. I was just level 7, like, and back in the day, that was like not nearly as hard as level 7 is now. So very basic level of competing.
And what did you specialize in? Were you an all-rounder, bar, team?
During that time, like, in considering my level, like, you had to do all 4 events. You couldn't specialize in anything.
Did you have a particular favorite?
Yeah, floor and beam.
Floor and beam. Okay. All right. Well, good. That's good to know. We'll see how that falls into your how that falls into your athletic background now.
Not very much.
Go ahead, Brian. Sorry, we went off on a gymnastics tangent. My bad.
No, that's perfect. That's excellent. when she says that, I immediately start thinking if there's any application to the semifinals coming up. That just sounds like
the handstand walk. I'll take that all day, but that's average gymnast response.
Yeah, but probably above average, just like level of comfort and adaptability to doing that once you did get into the CrossFit world. So you have very athletic parents with some ambitions to even have some influence in terms of being able to help other people with those sorts of things. You travel around a lot as a kid. Did you guys end up ever settling down someplace where they could actually open something like that?
Yeah, so Minnesota was where I think we were there for 7-8 years. And that's where they bought and sold their first gymnastics business. And then
Minnesota, beautiful winters there.
Yeah, they hated it. That's why they sold it and moved, because they were like, we cannot do any more of this depressing gray sky anymore. So we moved to Florida after that.
Very different. What part of Florida?
So Orlando, and that's where we've been the longest. And
is your family still there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so did you finish out school in Orlando?
Yeah, so I did 7th grade through college there.
Oh, you stayed near home for college.
Mm-hmm.
Central Florida, or where'd you go to college?
Yeah, UCF for a few years. I never finished because I was coaching at the gym with them, so that kind of fizzled out. But I basically spent 16 through 23 in the gymnastics world, just coaching.
Disney and NASA. What's up, Jeff? Jeff is a good guy.
And WWE.
I think Jeff was also a level 7 gymnast.
Naming things in Florida, I think.
Okay, so then, were you doing any sports yourself through college, or did you just kind of more adapt to that coaching stuff?
You're gonna laugh. I did like Orange Theory for like a few years, just like trying to stay fit. And then COVID hit and everything shut down. And I started watching like all the possible CrossFit Netflix documentaries when they were on there. And I just like fell in love with it. And I was like, I want to do this. So during COVID, I would like get like pillows outside and like try to do a handstand push-up. And like I had like a dumbbell and I would just try to play around with like .com workouts.
Who introduced you to CrossFit documentaries, or how did you stumble across
them? I think I just, browsing during one of the COVID days, like, what am I going to watch today? And that popped up, and then I went down a rabbit hole after that.
Do you remember which one was the first one that you saw?
I want to say, I was thinking about this last night. Whatever run, swim, run, workout with like Pat Vellner coming out of the what year is that?
2017. That was and it's actually at that point, it was the most recent one because the 2018 documentary, which I worked with that group of people. It was my first year working at the CrossFit Games. That basically got canned as a part of Greg Glassman shifting the company away from media. And it was since then it's been re-released, but at that point in 2017 would have been the most recent one. And then, you know, you could go back all the way to, there was 16, 15, 14, and also 2008. Those would have been the documentary. So did you watch all of those, including 2008?
I don't know if I went that far back.
I mean, it is a fascinating one for you or anyone who doesn't know. It's totally different than the rest of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just straight up. I mean, Savan had people working for him, but it's more or less was his kind of brainchild at the time, is at least my understanding. Maybe Tony Budding was involved. And it was called, the whole concept of the games was different that year than it's ever been. And it gives, I think even now it's a good watch just as people who think about fitness. And, you know, there's a lot of people talking about what different changes and different ways to potentially do this thing. It was called Every Second Counts, where that was how, you know, you had to have the lowest cumulative time across all the events to win. But that's, you know, that's I don't think this is an uncommon thing, but I do think it's a common thing for people to talk about, is that you know, the presence of media during that middle era of what the CrossFit Games has been so far, the 2013 through 18 time period, drove a lot of people into the affiliates or the competition scene. And then it kind of, you know, it transitioned out into external media. And so there's a lot of conversation around that. And it's cool to hear just like this organic story of a girl in Florida who is looking for something, saw this, and, you know, we're going to get to where you are now, but to see how big of an impact that could have on your life.
Changed literally everything.
Yeah.
So, do you remember watching that? And it's like, if there was a moment, I mean, you mentioned Pat Vellner during the even that first movie where you were like, wow, what is this? I want to know more about it.
Yeah. I don't remember like a specific thing. I think I was just hooked from the beginning. I was like, people do fitness for a living. Like, how can I do that? Like, you know, if I knew, like, walking into my first CrossFit gym, I was like, I'm not here to just take a class. Like, I'm here to like try really hard.
It's funny. It's funny you say that. I was just in Georgia with Griffin Raleigh this weekend, and he said the same thing. He's like, I walked into the gym and I told them I wasn't here for the classes. I'm here to make the CrossFit Games. And everyone told me I was crazy. And I said, well, he said to them, he's like, then you don't know me.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a kind of a similar mindset.
It's so crazy because my mom and Dom like met the other weekend before we, you know, moved here, and Dom's like telling her, like, you know, she's really competitive, and I'm like, yeah, like, I'm competitive. And Mom's like, no, she's not. She's never been competitive like in her life. And it like drew this new like feeling out of me I've literally never felt before, because like gymnastics and, you know, karate, like I took as a joke, like I'm a kid, I'm having fun, but I never had that like I want to win until 4 years ago, really. So it's a new thing I'm like, you know, going through and trying to figure out, but I love it.
And let's just for people to know, how old are you now?
I'm 25.
25. So you're in college age, you're coaching at a gym, you're 20, 21 years old, you stumble across this thing. Clearly you have some, what I would call is motor control, just from the gymnastics, karate growing up. You know how to move your body through space. Any, hold on one second. Yes, Sarah, she is from Mayhem, and we might get to talk about Hiller in a bit when we're just kind of bringing up to speed first. I know he was there this past weekend, and he probably made a really good documentary that dropped sometime in the last hour. So if you want to see some behind the scenes from the time he spent in Mayhem, that is most likely worth a watch. He's gotten pretty good at that. Anyway, have you ever lifted weights in your life up to this point?
Aside from the dumbbells at Orange Theory, no. Like, I didn't know like what Olympic lifting was, and like I played around like in a Globo gym, like, you know, deadlifting and squatting, but, you know, my form was not it.
PC, while I'm asking this next question, see if you can find any footage of her lifting from Wadapalooza. So what do you remember? Maybe there's something on our Instagram or something. Do you remember,
No.
or even a picture maybe? Do you remember the first time that you tried to snatch?
I wish I remembered, and I have videos of it in my archives, but I honestly don't remember those times. I think I like blocked it out because it was so bad. But I don't remember that. I don't.
Well, in the past 4 years, you've gotten to become a pretty good Olympic lifter. The weights are competitive, and the form is pretty good from what I've seen, especially when I've seen you lift live. So, was it something that you did pick up quickly, or was there a coach that really helped along the way? What kind of made the difference for you?
I got really lucky with coaches early on. I think that not a lot of people can say that. I had really knowledgeable and like genuinely caring people from the beginning of my journey. Like no one was ever like, you can't do this. Like you can't, this dream is crazy. No one ever told me that. They were really all in on me. And I think that made a big difference in the training that I was doing, even if it was just like a class. But I think for the Olympic lifting, I had an Olympic weightlifting coach to help me. So I went through all these cycles. And like with the snatch, for example, like that mobility overhead is just from gymnastics, I think. And that's really given me that advantage. Clean.
Was that a coach in Orlando area?
Central Florida? So in that video, that's Sam. She was doing my like Ollie weightlifting. And then that's Miguel, my like, Metcons and accessories person. That's in Subu CrossFit in Orlando.
And Dom is known pretty. I mean, he's a pretty well-known Olympic coach too. I mean,
and that was way later. I mean, I didn't meet him until 2 years ago, I believe now.
Well, I was just kind of going back to the fact that you said you had some really good Olympic lifting coaches, and it seems like Dom's fortunate because he already has that background, and that's what he's kind of known for, or was known for. Now he's just known as a really good coach. But you already having all that, by the time he got to you, he got to work. So now he got to work on some of the other foundational stuff.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
I love watching videos like that. Like obviously the snatch is great, but just to see, I think you said his name was Miguel.
Yeah.
To see his genuinely happy and proud and celebrating a 200-pound snatch within 2 years of doing CrossFit. You're snatching 200 pounds. I've been doing CrossFit for over 11 years. I've never snatched 200 pounds.
You're gonna get there.
I had a goal to hit 185, and I did it, and of course, pretty happy about that. So then, at some point, you do, I think that you made a decision to kind of seek the next step for you as an athlete, whether that was hiring a coach or deciding to move. What was that process like?
Yeah, so I think it was when are Wadapalooza qualifiers? October, September?
The individuals usually happen after the teams, I think. So it's like September and then October.
Yeah. So I think 2022, I believe, when that video was, I didn't make RX or Elite individual Wadapalooza, and I was like gutted. I was like, what is going on? So that year was intermediate, which was like my first real competition, and like the next year I tried to go for the next level up, and I didn't make the cut. And so I think at that point was kind of a turning point in my head of like, all right, what are we gonna do to like get there? Because I'm not spending hours in the gym to not make it, And so then I I found that Brute was doing a camp down in Naples. And so I was like, I'm just going to try to get noticed and, like shoot my shot here and maybe try to stand out. And so I just like, screw it. I'm going to just go try. And so that's what I did.
So you signed up for that Brute camp just as a participant at the camp.
Yeah.
You paid the fees, you traveled down there, you got a place to stay.
And what's funny is I wanted to go the year before, and I saw Jess like post a picture of herself there. Like I was following her at the time, had no idea who she was, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Is this Andrazik?
Yeah.
Jessica Andrazik.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I want to go there. I no idea who she was. I'm like, I'm gonna go next year. so I kind of followed in those footsteps, but it would have been crazy if we were both there at the same time.
Were you like at this time? Were you already looking at the leaderboards, kind of comparing your numbers to other people, or were you not at that level yet?
Yeah, all the time. All the time.
And so you sign up you sign up for the Naples camp. You go down there. I mean, we know Matt Torres and Coach Dom and some of the other coaches from Brute. Well, obviously they had some very, very high level athletes down in Naples that year. Was Emma Carey there when you went?
Mm-hmm.
And Danielle was down there?
I think she just got there. I can't remember the timeline exactly, but I think she was newer to there.
And James and Dallin were there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Fee?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is this the first time that you'd been in an environment around athletes that had, had success at the CrossFit Games and semifinal level?
So they weren't really like in the camp. They like came like one night, I think, like to watch, and then like the next day we got to like ask them questions. But it was more so being in a space itself, like even just like the building of like, all right, this is where the top athletes train. It was just a different energy when you go into a gym like that. They didn't even have to be there.
Did they do that camp at Redline or at the kind of smaller Brute facility that was across the street?
Smaller Brute facility, and there's a gym right next to it. I can't remember its name.
Yeah, it's it used to be called, I think, just CrossFit Naples, maybe, but they changed the name of that gym a couple times. I used to live in Naples, Florida, actually, and I used to coach at Redline when it was a CrossFit gym and an OPEX gym, of which it is neither now.
Oh, gee.
But anyway, and so did something happen at that camp? Did you have a chance to talk to them and express the interest, or did they actually reach out to you or notice you?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I was just like, I have to kill these workouts that we're doing. If I don't, they're never going to pay attention to me. But, you talk with the coaches in between and stuff, and I talked to Dom more so than Matt, but, did the workouts. I thought that I did pretty well, but nothing of like, oh my gosh, like, we want you kind of thing. It didn't happen like that. I remember like packing up my stuff in my trunk, and I see like Dom walking out, like probably going on like a lunch break, like walk or something. And I'm like, I have to talk to him. If I don't talk to him, he's never going to like know what I want out of this. So I was like waving him down. I'm like packing up my stuff, yelling across the parking lot. I'm like, I would love to like work with you. Like, like trying to, show him like I'm interested in like taking this further. And so then, we get to talking, asking me about, like what I've done so far and what I want. And that was kind of it. And they didn't have any spots available. So I went home and I was like, I did what I could, and I'm just going to keep working. And then I think it was a few weeks later. I can't quite remember, but he was like, a spot opened up. Like, do you want it? And I was like, yes, immediately.
What, do you remember being discouraged at all on that drive home?
It was just like, there's nothing else I could have done. And they've seen my face. They know how I move. And at least they have me in their head. So I wasn't like, it's over kind of thing.
Man, that's really cool. I mean, you're at that time you're 21 or 22, and you go out there, you put yourself out there, you work out really hard. And it's a lot of people could have had that thought, I should say something to him, and just like gotten shy and gotten nervous and not done it. But you did it. And then you left saying, yeah, I went there and did what I needed to do. Yeah. And that's cool also, because then you go home and it's like, well, what are you going to do? You get on with life. And then a few weeks later, he calls you up. Right. And from that point, do you just start working with him like the next day?
I think we started working, it was like a month or two. No, I think the camp was in January, and then we started working together like a week before the open, I think. So it was pretty quick.
And I don't actually even know the timeline of when Dom moved from Naples to Cookeville, but did you end up making that move at the same time as him?
Yeah, so I moved to Orlando a week before semis last year. I was like, I need to be there. The sooner the better to train in person.
Do you mean to Cookeville?
No. Oh, we're fast forwarding now.
Okay.
So
you skipped like 2 years.
So October. We moved here in October, and we moved all together. Yes, to answer your question.
Yeah, it was a caravan.
So now you've been in Cookeville for about 6 months.
Yeah.
And you said like you because that gym in Naples that you went to for that camp it was a nice facility. They had a lot of equipment, but it was a pretty small space. I saw it before it had anything in it, actually. And then you go to CrossFit Mayhem, and that is a totally different level of facility. Have you ever, I mean, I'm sure you've seen videos, but that was you moved there and then it's your first time going there?
Yeah, never been there before. Only seen it on like videos, like watched every single vlog, but never been there. So it's very, very cool to be there.
You mentioned you watched the documentaries. Was Rich Froning, was that like required watching before you went there?
I have to know something about him before I go in there in case I get like fired a question.
Yeah. So you did watch that documentary.
Yeah.
All right.
The Fittest Man in History, 2014. That was the first, besides 2008, that was the first year that they made a CrossFit documentary. It was the first year that I watched the CrossFit Games.
And I think that was the first one that Heber was given production credit for, I believe. Producer credit or director credit.
Could be. Yeah. And it was, that movie, I think, was a massive catalyst for the sport. And now you get to see that person, Rich, not just as an athlete. If you spend even a week in Cookeville or 2 days in Cookeville, you'll see that he's got a lot of stuff going on in his life other than just fitness these days.
Yeah.
And he's a good human being. But there's a lot of good human beings down there in Cookeville. So, I just want to give you like carte blanche, I guess. What's this 6 months been like for you?
It's, you walk in, you're like, you have to work so hard every day when you're here. Like, how can you you're around the fittest people ever. And then there's me who hasn't even, made it yet to be like worthy to be in here. So it was very scary at the beginning. Like I felt like I had almost imposter syndrome for a little bit. I was like, I'm running on the runner and I'm just looking around, Roman and Luke and like all these top names that you're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here right now kind of thing. But, everyone is so nice and welcoming and talk you through, emotions, and everyone's very open with each other. And I think that's very, helpful to newer people when they come in. But it's really cool. And I don't have that feeling anymore. So, yeah.
When did you realize that? I mean, you say you don't have that feeling anymore. When did it kind of like dawn on you like, hey, I belong here?
Yeah, it was after I backfilled into the Elite Wadapalooza this past year. And after that, I was like, okay, I can do this. I can hang, I can keep up. So I just needed a little bit of that confidence boost, I think, to keep me going.
You mentioned that there was a group of you, and I call it the Florida Caravan, the Dom Caravan. It was you, Jessica, Emma. I'm trying to think who else was included in that.
Maybe Nate.
Yeah,
Nate Ackerman. But you all, and of course, like Daniel Kuhns. There's some like by association they would kind of filter in. But it seemed like you four athletes were the main athletes that made the move. I mean, I guess, was there at any point did it feel like, hey, we're like kind of the new kids. Where do we fit in with this? Did you see, because there were athletes there. You had the Paige Powers, the Baileys, the Gee, and that group there, that core group that were really close, that were doing kind of their own thing. And then you guys show up. I mean, did you get like fully integrated, or was it kind of like just kind of slowly integrated in, or were you like, okay, that's Dom's group, this is Jake Foster's group, this is these this is Jake, the other Jake's group, how did that work out? And and did you have like special gym hours? How did you get integrated into each other, into Mayhem?
I never found it to be like groups of these people. Again, everyone was so welcoming and like walking right up to you like, come over to our house for dinner, like very welcoming right off the bat. I think it's normal to feel
that sounds like Jen Parker to me.
Definitely Jen. Definitely Jen.
They're awesome. So but I think it's normal to feel like the new kids and kind of like, okay, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. Like, you don't feel fully comfortable right away. And I think I think everyone felt that at some point, and they let us know, like, it's okay to feel that, but like, you're not in the way, like, we want you here. Like, they let us know then. That was very comforting. But I think, it's a process and slowly integrated. And I feel like, you grow closer to these people every day after spending, 6 hours with them. So it was a natural progression, but again, super, super easy integration, I feel like.
Yeah. Then, and we've both spent time there, and it's a crazy environment because you mentioned some of these guys, but like Roman Krenikov is a big personality. Guimaraes is a big personality, and they represent a totally different part of the world. But even those guys, if you didn't know, you would just think they'd always kind of been there because everything just kind of works. It's a really cool place to be. And, and clearly there's been a high level of success over this period of time since you've been there. I mean, look at the athletes that we've already talked about that will be competing next month at semifinals around the world, some of them for the first time, and including you. And but you did get that invite into Wodapalooza, so you had a chance earlier this year to go out there and test yourself against big names on a big stage. What were the lessons from Wodapalooza that you're going to carry into semifinals next year? This was a picture I was thinking about, by the way. I guess it wasn't a video.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. I was so scared going into it. Even going into the RX one, because I was like, if I'm an RX, I have to beat every single person here. Like, I want to be an elite, so I need to show like that I belong there by winning RX. And I put so much pressure on myself for that. And then 11 p.m., literally like 3 days before, I get a backfill into the elite, and I felt that pressure come off. And I was like, okay, well, I know I'm not going to win this elite, but at least I can go into it without this rock on my chest of like, you have to perform a certain way. I can just go out there and do what I do, which when I do that, I'm happier, and it's more fun, and I'm more relaxed, and I'm like smiling literally at the end of like every single one of these clips. And I think that just goes to show, like, if you put so much pressure on yourself to perform a certain way, you're going to hate it, and you're not going to want to do it. And so I think that was the biggest lesson of like, just be present, and just, you can only do your best, and you have to be okay with that at the end of the day.
So you actually get the opportunity to compete at the higher level, but it was less stressful for you having the chance to do that, because the expectations or the pressure that you were putting on yourself was completely different. And that is a sentiment that I have heard, and people have heard other athletes express as well. And so being able to, I mean, you're probably in a similar situation coming up next month, where it's like, you might not be expecting to win that competition, but you want to do really well there. So what's the mental preparation like this time around? It kind of, what I would say is like your second really big live stage.
Yeah. It's similar. It's funny that you asked that, because the other day I was freaking out about a certain event, and Dom just came up to me. He's like, "Bro, like, chill. Like, you made it, and you know that you do well when you're having fun. And right now, like, it doesn't look like you're having fun." So it's just trying to like separate yourself from certain moments of like, you have to like wake yourself up and snap out of it. And like, Guy was really great about that. Same day, he's like, dancing next to me. He's like, I just, like, chill, like, you're here, like, we're just working out. Like, so it's trying to just have that mindset, but still balancing it out with wanting to be competitive and wanting to do well. So it's like just teetering that line to keep yourself sane and perform well, but also, like, fight for it.
What's this picture from, Patrick?
That's from Monster Games. I don't even have that picture.
I know. It's a PC special.
I'm like,
cool.
Yeah, because Patrick was at Monster Games last year. I was not there.
Oh, nice.
We met very briefly.
Oh my gosh, I'm the worst.
That's right. No, you're not. Believe me, it was right after this. It was right after, you're very emotional. I was up there. Yeah, I was up there. Obviously, you see Kiefer in the background.
Yeah.
I was up there because Kiefer, I had to pick up Kiefer and one of your competitors, Ivy Simonis. and we're driving up to the games as soon as this Monster Games was.
Yeah, that's what we did too.
Yeah, because that's what I was talking to Dom about that. But
that's so funny.
Yeah, I need to send you this picture.
You went to the CrossFit Games to watch last year, Nina?
Yeah,
the whole group.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We rented an RV and we drove from Missouri or Chicago to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Is that the first time that you'd gone to watch the games in person?
Yeah.
So in the last year, you competed at Monster Games, which is a good competition. You went and watched the CrossFit Games live. You competed in the Elite Division at Wadapalooza. You went through the stress of qualifying for the semifinals, which everyone had to go through that stress, of course. And is this true, by the way?
Yeah, I made it semis last year. Yeah.
Yep,
so you had semis last year as well, down in Orlando. So it's been a pretty big year for you. And how are you feeling now? I mean, you know, the other thing that's weird about semifinals is that, and I guess this year especially, the workouts are out so early, and it's kind of different than anything else. Like you have a month to look at these workouts. How are you guys handling that? You know, either you personally or the group there at Mayhem. And thank you, by the way, Olivia.
Specifically with like the workouts coming out early.
And just like taking all of this that you've experienced in the last 12 months and trying to get yourself ready to be at your best when it comes time.
I don't love the workouts being out that early, but it's nice to have them. But it's like everybody has them. It's not just me. So it's like it makes training more intense because you're specifically now making your programming around those. So you're like, it's a lot to give to every single piece every single day. But you know, I guess fair is fair if everybody has it. So yeah, but you know, this year I think, you know, last year I went out there and it was just like survive and just make it through and be around these people and be on this stage was very new and very exciting. But again, like I didn't feel that pressure last year. And I think this year I want to put my name in the ring. I want to get as close as I can to trying to make it and, you know, be happy when I'm out there. So it's scary and exciting. And it's just trying to not fall too deep into putting all your energy into like, where am I placing on the leaderboard?
And who was coaching you last year at semifinals?
Dom. That was our pretty much first competition, actually.
A lot of athletes and coaches that I talk to say it generally takes like 6 to 12 months to kind of get into a rhythm with a coach. And as we just went over, you have all this kind of experience with him now over the past year. Is how much more comfort is that just knowing that you guys have done this whole year together going into semis compared to last season?
Yeah, I drive him crazy first of all, but so the comfort is there. But you know, I trust him. There's no one I would rather be under, and I feel like he's more than a coach. It's more like almost like a mentorship of like, you know, he explains everything as to why we're doing this and how it applies to certain pieces. And I don't think a lot of coaches go that extra mile. So he's really built up my trust and confidence. And like, okay, when you go out there, you are like ready. We haven't done a single thing that is not, you're going to feel like we haven't touched at least, you know, once with reason. So I think the trust that I have for him is huge.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. If you didn't have a coach and you put out the workouts as an athlete for the semis, would you prefer to do all of the workouts all the way through or just kind of get touches on them?
It's hard to remove like what I know now from what he's telling me. Like I know like he would be like, no, don't do that. That's dumb. But I probably would. Like I don't think that's the smartest thing to do right off the bat, but I would probably go all the way through. Yeah.
I was thinking, you know, I saw it because I mean, basically, I think everyone knows that they weren't planning to release the workouts that day, or at least it doesn't seem that way. They ended up releasing them just to kind of put a stopper in whatever was going on, which I think was the right decision.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, you know, these coaches are like, oh my God, I had written the programming for this week, and now what am I going to do? And the next day, athletes are just doing the full semifinal workout. And I'm like, you guys are still 3 to 5 weeks away. No one was expecting to see these workouts till May 10th.
Yeah.
Maybe just continue with your training and like think about integrating them into the next week of training. But no, everyone's doing the workouts.
Well, because the semis is so, I don't want to say different, but it's so like classic that we were doing things that movements that were not in there. So like now, okay, shoot, now we got to like plug these certain things in that maybe weren't touching as much as we were like a wall ball or a GHD or something like that. So I think maybe there was like a split second of panic, but I think it's better now.
PC, you got anything for?
Not really. I mean, obviously you're going into this. Well, actually, I do have something regarding Dom is really known as a very spiritual person.
Mhm.
And obviously Mayhem is known as a very, you know, we use that term Mecca, but it's also considered in the Bible Belt, and you know, obviously religion, what they follow there, and how much does your spirituality and, you know, your faith play into, you know,
Mhm.
you as a competitor? I mean, is that something that's, you know, obviously Mayhem has those, they have, you know, it's faith, family, service, and fitness, right? I believe. Did I
Mhm.
hit all of them? Did I say
Yeah.
them all? Oh yeah, yeah. We've been down there enough times. I've heard it enough times. But how much does that embody who you are?
Yeah.
As a
So much. I think I never thought that it would. I, you know, am still new to the faith. So to be an athlete and a person and a competitor and a friend in as a Christian is still new for me. And I'm still, you know, figuring out what that looks like. But we have such a great community here and mentors and a great church that help lead us in that way of like, okay, I want to bring the Christian person as an athlete. I want to be that athlete too, and not just like, you know, separated. So I think it's really impacted me in like how I maybe react in certain workouts or react to things I don't like, or if it doesn't go my way, how am I going to show my emotions? You know, how am I going to process that? And I think having that biblical mindset or Christian mindset is really helpful for me to process that and to help others that are going through that. You know, you can go up to them and pray for them or ask, you know, what they're going through and just talk them through that as a brother or sister in the faith. So
The last thing I want to ask you is, and this does not necessarily have to be like, I'm amazing at this thing or whatever. Is there, you know, just given the progress that you've made over the last 4 years and maybe the last year specifically, is there any particular workout this year at semis that you're really excited to have the opportunity to do?
I think obviously the handstand walk one, I just feel like I can really go all out on that, and show like, you know, like it's gonna be fun, and I can have fun during like a time where I'm trying, you know, hard. But I
Is
think
that last 800 meters row going to be fun?
I don't know. Maybe
She's a good rower. She's a good rower.
Probably not.
No.
Probably not. I'm like
I don't know. I see that workout and I just think like for the best athletes, like that, the fact that the rowing increases,
Yeah.
And like that 800-meter row, like you said, like you can kind of go for it in that workout. And so that's a little bit of a gut check in there, I think.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Which can be fun.
Yeah.
You could possibly be sharing that stage if everything works out with some of the best handstand walkers in the world. You know, we're talking Danielle Brandon, Haley Adams, Brooke Wells. I mean, what a great opportunity for you to, you know, have a, you know, if you can, I mean, just kind of go against some of the best. I mean, especially if that's something you're excited about, because obviously those are, I mean, if I'm Danielle Brandon, I'm excited about that workout too. But then, you know, we kind of, you know, she's known as the best handstand walker in the world, but you know, there's, you know, it'll just be interesting to see and kind of test yourself against.
Yeah, like how good am I at it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that one and the finale one. I don't know if it's gonna be ring or bar muscle ups, but I think any type of muscle up I love doing, and then like lunges to finish. I can lunge all day, so that's fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Nina Vragovic, for the people who didn't or just joining later, go back and listen. She shared with us her story of how she kind of got into this. You know, a lot of us have through the media that was available surrounding CrossFit. And in 4 years has kind of risen to be having these opportunities to compete at some of the biggest stages. She was at Wadapalooza. You can go back and watch that footage, of course, on YouTube. She was at the semis last year in Orlando, Monster Games, and she'll be in Knoxville this year competing in one of the most competitive semifinal fields that's ever been assembled across the men, the women, and the teams division. We appreciate you taking the time. It's obviously a busy time of the year for you. And we are super excited to see not just those two events, but everything that you can do, and all your friends that'll be there from Mayhem as well in about a month.
Thank you.
Is this your first? Is this your first podcast?
This is my first podcast.
Hell yeah! First of many. You crushed it. You crushed it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
No problem. Take care, Nina.
You too.
Moving on from one to another. Well, let's bring this guy on first. Oh, he made it. Yeah. All right, and then we'll actually bring on the real guest of honor here.
Oh, there we go. Hey.
There she is. Hello.
Sometimes my AirPods don't work well, so they're working, so we're good.
Okay.
What's up, Erica?
Chad, nice to see you. I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't tell you he was going to join? He's like, when I told him that you were coming on the show, he's like,
oh,
wait,
I
you
can
haven't.
hear Brian.
Interesting. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, Brian.
I can't hear him.
You can't hear him?
Let me take my AirPods out.
Can you hear me now?
Live. We gotta love it live.
Oh, there we go. That's
Nice.
better.
So you got us, Erica?
Or not. Chad, how are you?
Pretty good.
Doing good?
Pretty good.
That's good. Glad. Chad's usually really busy around this time, so whenever we can get him to join us, it's always fun. Erica,
Yeah.
can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're good.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to kill some time by talking to Chad, but now you're back.
No, you're good.
Now you're
We're
back.
good. We're back
All right,
now.
cool. Well,
And
so
basically, you guys live in the same part of Canada, more or less, right?
yeah, north, right?
Yes.
The only person I can't hear is Brian. I don't know why.
I'll just leave.
It's not important anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Brian, you want to sit this one out?
I'll come back in and see if it changes
I
anything.
don't know why I can't hear him.
Okay. That is weird.
Boycotting Brian.
This is Brian.
Maybe you guys continue.
Maybe you have him blocked, but yeah. So it's really interesting today. Something new. Like we're gonna try to bring a bunch of semifinal athletes on, especially some of these young athletes, or just athletes you're probably not very familiar with. I know Clydesdale CrossFitter, he does a really good job of doing this, but we had the opportunity to do some of it as well. We just had Nina on, and it's funny because you're both going to be rookies at North America East this year.
Yeah.
Your first appearance. Well, actually, she was there last year, but you've taken weird, like your paths have been very different. Like
Yeah.
she's only been in the sport for 4 years. She had no prior games experience. You've been a part of CrossFit for a while now.
Yeah.
You're an actual graduate of the teen division.
Yeah.
You're part of an impressive. Your first appearance at the game was 2018, right?
Yeah. As a teenager.
As a teenager, and
Mhm.
was that the 16 to 17 year old division?
Yeah. So I started when I was 14, but I was only competing I started when I was 14 just for fun. I was in another sport and I kind of just did it just to have fun with it. And then when I turned about 16, that's kind of when like the owner of my gym was like, well, why don't you try like the teen division? So I did the open when I was 16, kind of just had fun with it just to see where I was. And then I made it to the games when I was 17, and that was my last year as a teen.
Okay. But you're a part of an impressive group of alumni. I mean,
Yeah.
you had Haley Adams, Devin Kim.
Yeah.
And what place did you finish that year?
So that year I finished 12th, and I was
12th.
heading into university right after that. Like I was as I was getting like ready for the games, like my residence and stuff. I was getting all excited to go to university too.
Erica, can you hear
And
me
then-
now?
Yes, we're good. Okay, I
We're
was
good.
worried.
All right.
Like, oh, God.
But when you say you just mentioned residence there, and obviously I missed a little bit
Yeah.
of context. What is that referring to?
University. So I vividly remember we were getting walked through like the first or second workout, and I got like an email saying what residence I was in, and I really badly wanted to be an apartment style so I could eat my own food and like kind of train a little bit. And then they're like, oh no, you're in a dorm with like one other person and you're on our food plan and stuff. And I was so disappointed, but it ended up being a good time.
I was only asking because both my mother and my sister attempted to get residency in Canada. Like, and I didn't know if there was some.
No,
Anyway,
yeah.
ignore me.
No, just university.
So are you graduated now? Or I mean, or
Yeah,
are
so
you
I graduated university not last year, the year before, 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with what area study?
So I graduated with kinesiology and a minor in bio and psych.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what are you doing with that education? Nothing?
So at the moment, I was kind of hemming back and forth between going to teachers college. That was kind of like my idea. And then I kind of just told myself after university, since I graduated the year that I was doing team with PSC, I kind of just was like, you know what? I will work at their gym. I'll coach, kind of make ends meet at the moment and train. And then I kind of moved back home after I went games with the team and just kind of said, I want to give it one more year, just trying to go individual and see what happens. And then after that, kind of make some career moves in terms of if I want to go back to school, that kind of thing. So I've just been coaching. I do a bit of PT on the side, like personal training, some younger girls. I kind of try and, I like training younger teenagers and stuff, kind of having some guidance in that.
Yeah.
Since when I was younger, I didn't have much guidance. So I like bringing up younger girls and stuff, teaching them how to get strong, things like that.
That's like, a conversation that we have with a lot of athletes, some of whom throughout their teenage years, others who have known people who did. And obviously you have done that over the past, 10 years or so. But what kind of lessons did you learn? You say you didn't have much guidance about how much or little to integrate training with everything else that a teenager would be doing in life.
Yeah, I tried to. It was really hard to balance it when I was younger, like in high school and stuff. When I started doing CrossFit, I was 14, but I was doing track mainly. That was like my main sport at the time. So I was just having fun with it. And then I think when I was 16, 17, I still had a decent balance back and forth again. I was still in high school, still like having fun with my friends, going out and stuff. So I always kind of had that back and forth. But I found that having a coach too at the time, who was the owner of my gym, he kind of helped me keep in check and remind me like I'm a teenager, still go out, have fun, do those things, socialize. It's still a big part of your growth as well.
And what do you kind of communicate, how do you communicate that with the athletes that you work with? Because I'm sure you have a wide range where some of them are like listening to everything you say and others, maybe not so much.
There's these two girls that I work with at the moment, and they're dancers primarily. And they're kind of just doing CrossFit because they want to just like do something different, and they saw it and they kind of like it. So we do some strength training and then aerobic stuff. And they're busy, and I just try and tell them to remember to like always take time for yourself. And like, yes, their sports are super, super important, but also having that downtime to kind of socialize with friends, I think is really important too. That balance it's key, I think, especially growing up.
Have you had any opportunity to, when you're working with them, to offer any advice when it comes to nutrition?
No. So I'm actually pretty bad with nutrition myself. I have a coach, which is good, but I love like sweets and stuff. So I'm trying not.
But I was even just thinking like with regards to being busy, because this is a theme that I have come across.
I always tell them like before we train, I'm like, did you eat dinner? Like, are you hydrated? Like I try and do basic stuff like that, but I never try and, because I'm so bad myself with eating, like in terms of junk food and stuff. So I try and just like, I let them just make sure they're eating enough and fueling themselves. But other than that, that's about it.
It was probably the biggest challenge that I had when I was coaching people, one-on-one is a lot of people who would even pursue something like that. They're very kind of type A people, very busy, always on the go. They like to be doing things, and finding ways to eat healthy foods when you're on the go 16 hours a day is 100%. One of the biggest challenges for anyone.
Yeah, and they're young. So the two girls mainly, one's like grade 8 and the other one's in high school. So also just that body image thing and just teaching them that fueling is super important as well. Like, you know, being strong is something, but also fueling and making sure you're eating enough is another. That's also something that you kind of try and like integrate as much as possible when we're training.
I think that's cool that you're doing that because you have that experience, not only as a high school athlete, because like you said, you did track and field, and then now as a games athlete, what advice do they ask you? Is this something that they're just pursuing just to help what they're doing in their sports now, or is this something that they're okay, or is this something, and how do you supplement that? Whereas you're training them for a specific, you're training them, I guess, in CrossFit methodology.
Yeah, like we just do some like strength training. Like
Gotcha.
We don't get into like muscle ups and stuff.
Makes sense.
I kind of just teach them the basics and like fundamental movement stuff to help with dance. And then they're both also like skiers.
Okay.
So we just kind of supplemental, like what I did when I first started CrossFit. I was doing it kind of like to supplement for track. So kind of just like, because I think it's really important. It's a good base to have.
And what did you run? I mean, what events did you do in track?
So I started when I was quite young. I think I was 10 or no, 8. But I did 400 meter and 200 meters primarily in long jump. Okay. And then when I started doing CrossFit, actually, I had switched to more 200, 100 meter sprint and then still long jump. So those were kind of my main, and sometimes relay for fun.
Okay. So you're an explosive athlete, you know, fast twitch muscle, you know, sprinter, you know, just exploding. I mean, is that the type of athlete you kind of consider yourself now, or have you remade yourself and balanced yourself out?
I would say, because luckily my track club, the summer was track, and then the fall, winter was cross country / like endurance. So even you're like, because it was a junior club, so it wasn't too specific yet. So luckily with that club, like you kind of were still able to touch on everything. Like even if you were a sprinter, you kind of had to suck it up and do cross country in the fall, which I'm actually kind of grateful for now, because it's helped me in terms of like little bit of the longer distances. But I would say for sure, like primarily sprinting, I like more. Fast twitch for sure.
That's what Chad is. Chad's a sprinter too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Big body, long, lanky.
I always, anytime we talk about teenage athletes, and before we move on, if you've seen it, maybe you've seen it, Erica, you've been around for a long time, but maybe close to 8 to 9 years ago, Ben Bergeron put a podcast out that was called the 2030 CrossFit Games Champion. And he talks about how he would go about progressing athletes from, you know, consider this as 2015. And he says, you're probably going to win the games if you're 26. So an 11-year-old kid over a 15-year stretch, what would I do with him? It's a good listen if you're ever working, or anyone out there who is listening and working with, you know, with kids, to kind of put into context, maybe some good ideas.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I haven't seen it. I remember like I had watched a bit of that, but I remember when I was a teenager, I didn't watch too much like CrossFit YouTube, stuff like that. I kind of recently just got into it a few years ago, but not much as much when I was younger.
Well, it turns out there's some good stuff going way back. And Bergeron was one of the early guys that was really putting out some stuff in that kind of time period. So anyway, you mentioned last year that you went to the CrossFit Games on a team. And we have seen in this sport many times that athletes would go and compete on a team, and then eventually kind of parlay that into an opportunity to compete as an individual. Yeah, that's a great picture, by the way. That's just like,
I love that picture.
That's amazing.
I know, it's a good one.
Not me. I didn't take that.
Not me.
No.
Neither of you guys. Oh man. Anyway, I was trying to give you guys some love, but whoever that photographer is, very well done. What point did you kind of make that choice that you wanted to try that this year? Was it something that happened at last year's games? Did you know prior to that?
Like that I wanted to go individual last year, or that I was going team the year before?
Can we talk about the team first?
Yeah.
So the team, I kind of didn't make the decision. So I did when they asked me,
but it wasn't in my head at all. So I was in my second year university and I was kind of just having fun like a normal university person would. So I wasn't training too much, kind of just for fun. And then pole skis, so pole ski strength and conditioning, Nick and Kate, and then my old teammate Sean, he had reached out to me initially on Instagram and was just like, hey, I think it was like December, like right before the Open was starting. And he was like, do you want to like make a team with us? And in my head originally, I was like, oh God, I don't think they understand. I haven't been training. Like I'm not good at the moment, at least. So I said, I thought about it, I think for a day or two, asked some friends, and I ended up saying yes. So I was already in Kitchener at the time because I was in school. So it kind of worked out actually pretty good. So I just started Ubering to pole ski strength and conditioning to train with the team come January. And then that year we had made it to semis. And then, but we didn't make it to the games my first year. And then we stuck with the team the following year. I lived with Nick and Kate, who were the owners of PSC. For our second year, I just stayed there since I was done school. And then we made it to the games that following year.
And they're sending a team again this year. And I believe,
yes, they are.
I'm pretty sure that Nick passed up his individual invite
yes,
that he earned
team.
to do the team again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Might
excited.
do I think he might do Masters though.
Yeah, I think
he qualified all three this year.
Yeah,
yes,
he's
all three.
insane. Yeah, he qualified for all three. So I think he's doing the Masters semifinal, and then he'll also go team as well at semifinals.
And this year,
couple
you could
busy
potentially
weekends
actually do, and if he qualifies in both divisions, he could actually have a pretty busy August too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the cool thing about the new structure.
Yeah,
those young Masters athletes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. CrossFit will probably change it next year, so.
I would say maybe Sam Dancer will do it too.
Things are always changing.
Yep.
And so, team experience last year at the games. I mean, those I've interacted with Nick via Instagram a bunch of times. He seems like a very good person to have the opportunity to compete around and train with. Just being around the sport and passionate about creating opportunities for people at all levels, really, to pursue it. Some things maybe you learned from him last year.
Oh yeah, like going to pole skis, I think, because originally for like the 6 years prior, I was just at my gym in Burlington, which is like my home. I've been there, I've grown up at that gym. But getting the experience of going to Kitchener and training at Pole Ski Strength, where there's Jack, Emma, you got Nick, Kate, and a pole ski, like you got a big group of competitive people there. It was really good to honestly be around those people all the time, learning from them constantly. I've never met, like, Nick is one of those people where like he'll hurt so bad. Like you just want to be around people like that because you can see them, like they won't give up. Same with Kate. She wasn't on our team last year because she got injured, but the year previous she was kind of my main training partner. And I learned a lot from her too, competitively. They both taught me a lot, honestly.
And Erica, Kate went to regionals. When did she go to regionals?
I forget the year she went, but she went to regionals.
2017?
When regionals was still a thing. I think it was one of the last years, and Nick coached her.
Yeah. I don't remember. It might have been 2017.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, she's a beast. I was at the gym the other day, and
they're both like super competitive, and I learned a lot from them just from the professional standpoint of like, because I had never done quarterfinals before. I hadn't really recorded videos on my own, stuff like that. So just learning the basics there. And they also just have a really good gym in terms of like equipment. At my gym in Burlington, we have all the equipment, but not like as much competitive stuff. Like they have all the good stuff. They got the worm. They got all the things you kind of need to grow as an individual.
And during the time you were there, you said you did get some exposure to either training with or watching Emma Lawson and Jack Folo train.
Yeah, so they did a different program than us because at the time my team doing Nick was programming for us. But I did get to watch Jack and Emma train, and I remember always looking at them being like, man, that looks like it sucks. Like it always like in a good way.
Like segue to now you're doing the programming.
Yeah, they would blow my mind, honestly, watching them train. And there'd be a few times where they jump in. We'd do like a throwdown Saturday, and they jump in sometimes and just like crush my soul. I'm like, wow, that's insane. They blew my mind a lot.
And now,
how has that changed? Yeah.
well, no,
Go ahead,
and now later this, I mean, obviously that's last year, and now it's this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think if people are starting to look at the semifinals leaderboard, like they can't not see your name there. I mean, it's Alexis, Emma, Danielle, Erica, Haley, like everyone. Is that cool to see your name up there on that leaderboard?
It's definitely kind of crazy, to be honest, since I haven't been in the individual side for a really like long time. I've never competed against these girls before, and I know how much work they put in and how skilled they are. So it's pretty crazy seeing my name up there for sure. I always sometimes think, I'm like, is this a joke? Like, I never actually think it's legit.
Well, it's our job to ask that question when we see a name kind of pop up there, because Patrick's going to pull it up here quite quick, but it doesn't stop there. I mean, Carolyn Prevost, Tia Claire Toomey, like these are, Annika Greer, Fisa Gaffi, Paige Semenza, all of them with this credentials to their careers. And there you are sitting fourth. And this happens every year, where there's always an athlete or a name in different divisions that kind of pops up and has this incredible performance in online competitions. And my question isn't, is this person a joke? It's like, who is this person?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But go ahead, Patrick.
I think unlike some of the other ones that we're used to seeing, I think Erica stands out. Erica, by all means, do not let this inflate your ego. But I think where Erica stands out is that she is experienced. I mean, it's the way I look at it, it's no different than when we see Devin Kim's name on the West. I mean, but we've known about Devin for a while because of her exploits and her success on the team division. I think you and Devin have a very unique opportunity because one, we haven't seen someone of your talent level go from the team division to the team division and now to the game, and we hope that, both you and Devin make it to the games where you can compete at that biggest stage as an individual. And I think ideally, as a teen athlete, I think that's probably the best path to take. But when I saw your name on there and, I obviously knowing your name, I actually heard your name first through Chad.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Chad told me, and then I did some research, and I saw that you're 2018. I was a judge at the 2018 games. I actually judged. I was able to judge the team division that year.
Nice.
I didn't judge you.
Dang.
You would have known if I would have judged you. You would have got a lot of no reps. Just kidding. Yeah, I mean, your name, unlike some of these other names that we're used to, that pops up that we're not used to seeing, or who are they? You have pedigree behind you, I guess is what we want to call it, is that you have some experience. So, doing a little bit more research, I'm not surprised that you're up there, especially when you look at your career and what you've done over the last 2 seasons since like you said, you graduated. So you're setting yourself up in a really good position to succeed in the sport if you continue to follow this. And at the same time, it looks like you've been able to, unlike some of your other teen athletes who are, taking years off because of the pressure, or you were able to still go to school and be a full-time student the same way as Devin has been able to do the same as well.
Yeah, I definitely remember, like, I totally thought after the 2018 games, I just kind of was like, I think I'm done. Like, I didn't really think I thought I would do CrossFit like leisurely, but I never really thought I'd get into it competitively again, just because I thought after school I'd move on, like figure out a job, kind of go on with my career. And then as soon as Sean kind of reached out to me again to do team, I was like, oh, maybe this is something I want to give a shot again. And then I kind of worked on from there. And I'm honestly happy I'm back for sure, because I forgot how much I loved it. I forgot how much I liked competing and everything.
I mean, just using the open as kind of a reference point, as a teen athlete, as soon as you're done with the teens, I mean, you 225th, 185th, and then 856. I imagine this is probably your junior year in college or university.
Yeah, that was kind of when I was,
Yeah, I mean, you weren't competing as much, or you're still doing the open. You're still the fittest person in your gym.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get you're steadily getting back into it. 164th, 29th, and then 27th, and and then that leads into the individual quarterfinal where we just
actually wanted to ask about this. 17th last year in the individual quarterfinals. Obviously, you kind of committed to the team. Was there any temptation to do the individual track last season?
I think it was definitely something back and forth because I remember Nick had made it too the year before. He made it as an individual last year as well. And it was kind of like something that it was in the back of my head, but at the same time, I really enjoyed team. And I don't think mentally I was ready to like take on the individual because team is fun, but you kind of get to put your stress on other people as well. Like you have 4 people on that team. So it's not as, I think, stressful. So I don't think I was ready mentally to go into a competition individually. I was kind of set on the team and excited to work with other people still.
And Patrick was absolutely right. I was jumping the gun a few minutes ago, but were the thoughts of maybe running it back another season individual spurred on by the success in the quarterfinals last year at all?
I think it was a little bit, and then I also forgot how much I did like competing, and I was like, maybe I want to try individual. Like I enjoyed it as a team, but I was like, I haven't done individual in so long, maybe try it. I actually it was something that was on my mind, and then it kind of just spurred it, I think, based off of how quarterfinals went last year, and I kind of had only done the workouts one and done last year. So I was doing them just to do them as an individual, but I had not as much like emphasis. It was focused still on the team quarterfinals. We kind of just did it just to put our names in just to see. And then it ended up doing pretty well. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Just to make sure you had that data point for the worldwide ranking system, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
I just wanted to see it.
And so this season, obviously knowing that you have the intent to compete individually, how much different was your approach to the quarterfinal stage?
It wasn't as different. So this was kind of my first year following like a program, I guess you would say. Last year, Nick programmed for us. But this was my first year following Mammoth. So I'm following Josh is doing the programming for me. He's not coaching me individually, but he does my programming. We follow like the elite trackers. I think that's what's called Mammoth Elite. And we had like a taper leading up to it and stuff, which is kind of the first time I've ever done something like that. And I liked it. It was good. It was, we kind of got excited for quarterfinals. I did it at my gym with one of my friends, Sam, who I train with on Saturdays. And it was a good time. Definitely a lot more stress than last year because I could just give it to other people. Like I made Nick and Kate and Sean take on the stress of individual quarterfinals. And now I had to do it by myself. And I was like, oh, this is a lot.
And for the, for the remainder of the season, what is, are you going to continue to follow that, that training plan, the Mammoth Elite online or whatever it is? And, and also who will be with you at semifinals coaching wise?
Yeah, so I'll be following the Mammoth program still leading up to semis and everything. I have a coach at home. He's the owner of my gym now, Michael D'Angelo. So he's basically been with me since I was in 2018. He was one of my coaches at the games then. So he'll just be there with me, coaching me at semis this year.
My apologies, Chad. Go ahead.
I was going to, I don't say sorry. It's okay. I was going to ask, so you were saying before you were watching Emma and Jack and you were saying how awful some of the workouts look like. You had team training. Now you're doing Josh's programming. How is that different this year, being by yourself, doing, the same? I know there's a number of elite athletes doing Josh's training now, not just Emma and Jack. So how is it kind of doing in that transition for you?
It was definitely at the beginning a lot because I moved back home. So I moved back to my home gym, and my home gym is like a second home to me, but there's not as many competitive athletes, I would say, than at PSC. So I kind of had to get into that mindset of when I get into the gym, I kind of just have to push as hard as I can go. Without that I had a little bit more, I would say, external motivation at PSC. So definitely at the beginning of the season, it was a bit of a kick because I was struggling a little bit mentally, because normally I got help from other people if I didn't want to go to the gym, but now I'm like, oh, I guess I have to go to the gym today and I guess I have to work hard. So it was a bit tough at the beginning, but once I got in routine, it's helped a lot. And my one friend who also did Mammoth, Sam, my other friend Hayden, they would come down on Saturdays and we kind of made it a thing. Our last day of training every week, we trained together just to kind of end on a high and like give it that last push, because we were all training alone throughout the week. So having those kind of things in place, knowing, you know, I get to train with this person this day, so just make it another 2 days and you'll be good, kind of helped a lot. So that was good. But it was definitely
And Sam and Hayden are beasts too.
Pardon?
Sam and Hayden are both beasts.
East? Oh yeah, they're tanks.
Beast.
Sam Bernardo, she's the girl that I train with on Saturdays mainly now. She jumped, I think, from like 273rd last year in quarterfinals to like top 100 this year. So she's another one that I think if she keeps pushing, she's gonna do something like make it to semis, I think, next year for sure. Hayden too, he went the team route this year, but they're both really good athletes, and I feel like if they keep following Mammoth, they're gonna be.
Were you there when Sam did the quarterfinal workout too? The burpees and the wall ball?
What? Sam Bernardo, my friend?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Did you do it at the same time as her?
No, I didn't.
Because your time was amazing on that workout, first of all.
Yeah, so Sam, actually, funny thing about her, she did the burpee wall ball one, and she didn't put her phone on airplane mode. So the video cut out at like 17 minutes.
Rookie mistake. Rookie mistake.
So she had to redo it the next day. But she finished it. So the first time she didn't finish it. The second time I was like in her ear yelling at her the whole time, and she finished it.
That's what I wanted to ask, because her time was 1952.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody knows how that workout is.
It's nasty.
It's brutal. But if you're finishing it in the last 10 seconds,
yeah,
like that's probably going beyond fifth gear.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like in her ear the whole time because she already didn't want to do it because she did it the day before. And I was like, you're finishing it. I don't care. Yeah, it was funny.
Cool. And I had to ask about Josh's programming and Mammoth programming again. Like, the reason why you chose that programming, is it because you were is it the locale of the programming so close to seeing Jack and Emma and obviously the success of Emma? Or were you looking at other options?
No, I know Josh too. So he was in Kitchener as well. And I had hung out with them a few times at the gym, and Jack and Emma seemed like they were headed on the right path. Like both of them super successful athletes. Like both of them have such great careers in the sport. So I thought it'd just be a good idea to give it a try. I had never really done, like I said, like a very specific program before. So I thought it'd be easier in my mind just to sign up for something and just do it, put my head down. And so far, like I completely trust Josh and what he programs for us. Like I feel like I've improved drastically throughout the year in terms of just like capacity and volume. And he's kind of like, every time I have a question, he's there to answer. So it's been great so far.
And now the semifinals is later this month.
Mm-hmm.
You've kind of accomplished the goal, I guess, to get to the live stages of competition here. And the workouts are out, and they're out a little bit earlier. I mean, I think most people weren't expecting to have them now. Yeah. What's your approach been in terms of looking at those? Have you talked to your coaches about it? Have you laid a plan out? Do you want to? Have you already done all the workouts in one day?
She did all 6 yesterday. Did all 6 yesterday, didn't you?
No, I honestly was coaching the day that they got released, and I thought it was a joke again. I was like, are they actually all out already? Like, I was shocked. I was extremely like kind of nervous looking through them. But once I looked through them, I've only briefly kind of looked at them. Josh had sent out a message about like what Mammoth is, what we're going to plan on doing the next few weeks leading up to semis. I like them. They're very, I would say, like pure CrossFit style workouts. Mm-hmm. Like they're very CrossFit. I feel like the classic, what we've been doing kind of in open and quarterfinals, like simple to the point. You have some skills mixed in there, but also some machines. So I like them. I think they're going to be fun tests to do. should be a good time. I know we're going to be touching. I don't know if I think we're going to do I'm guessing we're going to do all of them. But I think we're going to like do like different styles. So like not the whole workout, but practicing the movements.
Just get the
idea.
The idea and the
Yeah.
the effect. You know. Gotcha.
I love how like relaxed you are about it. I mean, so many people get so anxious. They see those workouts and they're like immediately, do you think we're handstand walking over something? What kind of lunge do you think it is? Like, and you're just like,
I remember on Saturday, Sam came and she was like, because I looked at the workouts and I was like, yeah, they seem pretty good. And she's like, I don't love handstand walking, to be honest. And the thought of like doing it beside Danielle Brandon or something like that stresses me about a little bit because I don't love it and I know how good she is at it. So that
the good news is if you're in the same heat as Danielle Brandon, no matter how good or bad you're doing, probably everyone's gonna be watching her anyway.
So
you can just do your thing. If you beat her on the workout, you will get all the eyeballs on you.
Oh my gosh, that would
pretty much no one's beaten her on a handstand walk workout in 4 years.
I have no intention of that at all or even getting close. But I looked at that workout and I was like, oh. And then my friend's like, do you think there's going to be a ramp in there or something? And I was like, oh. Like I didn't think that there's like, you look at those workouts and I just looked at them and I was like, oh, okay. Those are them. Like, let's start practicing.
It looks like one of us has an admirer here.
Oh.
I'm going to take that. Thanks, Barkley.
It's not Erica.
Oh.
Yeah. Barkley's got a girlfriend. You better not. Yeah.
Sorry, Erica.
That's funny. Yeah, so they'll be pretty good. It'll be a fun experience. I haven't traveled I haven't done anything individually in a while, so it'll definitely be a good time.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Because in the individual competition, you made this decision last year to compete, to try to compete this year individually, but as I didn't think that you'd done any off-season competitions.
Yeah, not this year, no. So originally my plan, I did the rogue qualifiers in August last year and died. Like because I took like 4 weeks off after the games or however many before rogue. And I did so bad in the workouts. And I don't know why. I did it because I was like, why not? And then my plan was to do Wadapalooza or try to do Wadapalooza. And then I completely just missed the qualifiers. I was training with Sean, my old teammate, and he's like, are you doing the Wadapalooza qualifiers? I'm like, what do you mean? Because I was planning to do that, gonna try and go individual in January. And he's like, yeah, they're on now. And I was like, oh, well, it's too late. Like I didn't plan for it, didn't train for it. So I messaged Josh after that, and I was like, I guess I'm not doing Wadapalooza because Josh doesn't really he just does my program. He doesn't really manage me or anything. And he's like, I guess not. Guess we'll just move on to the next. So I was originally going to do that. But other than that, no competitions this year. Aside from I did Bros and Does, which is like a local competition in Toronto with my old teammate, Nick. We did that in November.
Do you do that one, Chad?
We did win. Yeah.
I do. And Erica and Nick, it's kind of unfair. Like they go in and they just crush everyone. It's like Emma and Jack going to a local competition.
But they should. I think more elite athletes should do that. Just that's part of being an athlete, being an ambassador.
Yeah.
I love the idea.
Yeah.
It was definitely we looked at you kind of feel bad at the same time, but also at the same
she even knows.
No, don't feel bad.
That is such a stereotypical Canadian thing to say.
Do not
I feel bad beating everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But it was fun, and the element comps is like the Bros and Does foundation kind of thing. They're trying to make their competitions bigger. I think their goal is to make more elite style competitions. So hopefully in the future, because Canada, we don't have a lot of higher ranked
we know, and we want to change that too. We've actually been talking about it this entire year.
Yeah,
is that there's so much talent in especially in Eastern Canada where there's a lot more population density, and a lot of the best athletes in that part of the country, either everyone knows who they are, the Alex Vigneaults and Jeff Adlers, Emma Lawsons, or they're competing on teams. But there will be 4 or 5 Canadian teams with a realistic chance to make the North American
Yeah.
East, even with only 8 game spots. And all of those communities are also surrounded by a ton of other really good, fit people that would compete if there was a good competition in Eastern Canada. It needs to happen.
It does. And I feel like you always have to travel so much if you want to go to like a good elite competition if you're in Canada. And I just feel like it'd be so cool if we could get one, you know, somewhere near, so that we could do something a little bit more serious throughout the year.
And it has the potential.
If part of Atlas Games.
Oh
yeah, Atlas.
Like, get ready for Atlas Games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we had a conversation about the whole. I mean, Atlas Games. Obviously, it just it definitely should be that competition for Canada, but for some reason it's just not. I think since it's not semifinal anymore, it's not getting that traction. But I think it definitely Atlas Games should be that competition. Where's that going to be at, Chad? Is that going to be in Toronto area or?
Yeah, and it's the same one. And Alex runs Bros and Does, and he's running a competition called Team Comp this weekend. And so I do believe he's going to make it what everyone wants it to be. It's just going to take some time, I think.
We just need you involved with it, Chad. Just get you involved with it.
Yeah.
Right. And Eric.
Eric, yeah.
I did Atlas when I was in 2018. Like the first year, I think the first year it was a competition. I did it, and I was actually competing. Me and Annika Greer competed together. Like we brought it back, like when we were both teens. Yeah. We both competed together. It was like OG back in 2018 in the teen division.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever won money in a competition. I was like, "Whoa, this is sick!" I think I got $200, but I was like, "This is cool."
That's awesome. You can win money off of this.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you brought up like Annika, because there's so many when you think of Canadian athletes on the women's side, you have, you obviously have Michelle Latondra, Camille, and then more recently Emily Rolfe and Caroline. But you look at the future.
I gotta throw Caroline Reason Thibault in there.
Oh,
yeah, too good for too long.
Thank you for that. But then now you look at this new generation that's coming up. Obviously, Emma is probably the youngest, but she's right now the most successful. Yeah. And then yourself, Freya, Annika. It's just these names are just keep popping up, and and you're probably one of the newer names on that list, even though you've been competing for a while and that you have a little bit more experience. I mean, we're all familiar with Annika's like her bad luck when it comes to competing, especially as her finding out like in class that she's going to compete as a teen and then finding out she didn't get it, and but how close are because a lot of you obviously you have a connection with Emma, but she's a little bit younger, but Annika and Freya, they're more around your age. Do you guys have like a connection or a friendship or a group chat that you're all part of?
Yeah, so Emma, like we exchange, we message all the time, like randomly stuff like that, just check in. And I saw her at PSC a lot. Annika, we met each other at Atlas that year. And ever since then, like we kind of have reached out back and forth. She's helped me out a ton. Like last year, our team was able to like get some stuff from LSKD, and she kind of helped me kind of build that connection for our team. Yeah. So yeah, it's been great. I've never been able to meet Freya, but I've heard like a few people from my gym went down for a training camp. I think it was for DECA, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they met her and they're like, I feel like you and Freya would get along well. So I feel like we're all kind of have those similar personalities. We work hard, but also like want to enjoy our time in the gym and outside the gym. So we all kind of have a mutual connection of some sort. But definitely more Annika and Emma that I've chatted with before.
I see a future Wadapalooza team. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool idea.
Well,
I want to ask you, Erica. Sorry. Go ahead, PC. Finish your
call. Annika had started one. It was supposed to be her, Chloe. I'm trying to think who. It was like a Canadian team, but then I forgot who the other. It was at Wadapalooza last year, but I forgot who it was that dropped out. So it ended up being it was Annika, Chloe, and Freya, and then Annika ended up not competing, and then they brought in Kyra Milligan. So yeah, but no such luck this year.
No,
maybe next year.
Yeah, if I remember the qualifiers, I need to like put it in my calendar.
Go ahead, Chad.
I wanted to ask Erica. You're pretty cool and collected with the workouts and stuff like that. At the CrossFit Games last year for team, were you nervous? And was there a specific point of the weekend that you were the most nervous?
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember the workouts from last year at the games. I died on the run. I remember that vividly. Like I don't remember ever being nervous for that one, but I ended up hating it the most because I just I got so hot in that workout. I think I was the most nervous for, I think it was it the bike one? I think it was the bike one because I was like, I haven't like rode a bike like that on grass and stuff like in a while, and there's a lot of people like, and I'm clumsy. Like last year I sprained both my ankles like 1 month apart, really bad, right before individual quarterfinals. It was so bad, and it was just because I was being dumb at the gym. So I'm known to be clumsy, so I was a little bit nervous for the bike event. But I remember more from semifinals. I was super nervous about the pirouette event because everyone on my team was like super efficient with higher skill handstand stuff, and I am not. So I remember like before that event, like weeks before, I was just practicing the pirouettes over and over again, making sure I didn't mess up my team up, especially because it was a relay style. So I went first to try and just like get out of the way, and then everyone else went. And luckily at semifinals, I ended up doing them unbroken, and that was such a stress relief. I was like, thank God. So
I watched with Caitlin behind you guys in that workout, and she was so jacked up after you finished.
I feel like everyone was so scared because that workout could have gone so bad for us if I got stuck on the pirouettes.
You mentioned like being nervous, and I mean it's been 5 years. You know, you went to the Madison in 2018 as a team.
Yeah.
And 5 years later, you make the return on a team. Yeah. What was different? Did you feel any different? I mean, obviously, different circumstances. Obviously, your last division last year competing as a team, and then this year you're part of a team. I mean, what was familiar? What was unfamiliar? Did it seem like you were just there, or did it seem like it was a lifetime apart?
Yeah. I feel like I had grown a lot in terms of like maturity with like competing. I remember as a teen, especially in CrossFit and like when I did track a lot, I would get so nervous before events and not really understand how to like calm my mind down to the point where I was like freaking out, so scared. And especially when I was in CrossFit, like if I got no repped, like I would get so upset, and not at the judge, but just mentally I would like knock myself down a lot. And I think just competing as a team, like when I went back onto like the main floor, I was a lot more confident in myself and my abilities, and just like learned how to like relax before an event. And like, yes, I was nervous, but it was nothing like I was as a teenager. And I think that also just comes with growing up and like maturing and not realizing it's the end of the world. Like if you don't do well, like there's a lot of other things going, and it's not the end of the world if the leaderboard doesn't look how you want. But I think I still get nervous, and I still am like freaking out about things, but I think not to the extent that I did when I was younger.
How about the nostalgia of it, like returning? I mean, obviously in 2018, it was the Reebok games. This time around, it was Noble. Yeah. You had the Noble locker. I mean, was it kind of one of these things like, oh, look at this, or I remember this, or is like, I don't remember any of this?
I remember telling my team, I was like, oh yeah, I was the youngest on the team by far, and I was like, oh, I'm the one who knows the most. I tried to act like I knew everything. Just like, I've already been here, and I had no idea where you're going. It was a lot of fun. It was really rewarding coming back, because I feel like I had worked so hard to get better and prove to myself that I can compete again. So that was super rewarding. And also just being there with those people was a great experience. And then also being there for Jack and Emma too, kind of having like a whole Polsky squad there was super cool.
Yeah. You definitely had the squad there.
Oh yeah.
Chad was always constantly updating. He's like, he'd be like, hey, I gotta go. PSC is competing right now, or Jack and Emma are going, I gotta go. Like we're all gonna be there, Chad.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool seeing that, because I mean it's very rare. Like, well, I guess I kind of have it because my gym, we've had some games quality athletes, but being media, we kind of have to be unbiased. But it's kind of cool, like seeing like Chad, cheer on someone from his home gym and people he knows and stuff like that. It's just like there's just something very poetic and very community based about that, and it's just really cool and refreshing to see. And that that the community is so tight knit. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete or a fan or just a regular Joe or someone in the media. That we all have people that we root for and are proud of and want to support.
Yeah, that's like I think that's what like got me so into CrossFit when I was younger, was like at my gym at home, like didn't matter what age you were. Like I was training, like when I first joined, I was training with like women in their 40s, like, and then there'd be like people in their 30s. Like it was just such a wide variety of people, but everyone was cheering each other on, and the community there was like crazy. Like I would go there and I'd do schoolwork. People would help me with my math. Like it's a community like no other, honestly. And I think it's a sport that like we take for granted how like where it started, like, and what it's really about. And that's why I love doing the open, honestly, at my gym, because it's such a good time to like, it's not as serious as it used to be in terms of qualifying. So you can actually like step back and enjoy it.
This fan here, Lana Marcin, you probably don't know who she is. She's at least in her 70s, and she competes in Masters Fitness Collective still.
Oh,
she's one of the
you were just talking about. That's crazy.
Coolest people that I've met.
Yeah.
And she often watches and supports. So she's cheering you on.
Awesome.
Canadian as well.
That's awesome.
Erica, is this fundraiser? Is it over, or your shirt? Is it still going on?
Yes.
Or?
So the pre-order was done on Friday.
Okay. All right.
I know you can still get the shirts online through Supra, because that's one of the companies I'm working with. And you can order them throughout. But the pre-order was done on Friday. Yeah.
Here, let me pull that up so that way people,
they
want to support you. Like she said, you have to go through the Supra website, but I like the design of the shirt. It's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah. I feel like I annoyed them so much because we were back and forth for so long, because I like made the shirt, I designed it, and I think they were like, okay, because I kept saying, no, okay, how about we try this? And then they were like, oh God. But it turned out good.
Any significance in the melty face there, or is that just how you feel after you send it?
So that, and I told them I wanted a smiley face, but something a little weird. And they sent me that. And I said, I like that. So we kind of just stuck with that. And then like the smile and send it is kind of just like, I feel like, again, most athletes, like you get so caught up in like what you're about to do and not actually taking what you're doing at the time. So I feel like seeing that will just remind me, like, Kate, take a second, like, yes, you're nervous, but also take in what you're about to do and how awesome it is. So I feel like that will be a good reminder when I'm at semis.
Definitely.
I asked, we had one of your competitors on prior to this, Nina Vragovic, and I asked at the end of the interview, and this doesn't necessarily have to be the workout you think you're going to do the best at, but just with all of the competing and training and everything that you've done, is there a workout at the semifinals this year that you're excited to do?
Let me think about that. Can we pull up the workouts? Can we slide through?
It's a we can do it. Yeah, it is amazing. There's a running and clean and jerks on day one. Yep.
And then the first one is the box jumps, double unders. That one. That's all day one. I think.
Well, the double unders is with the toes to bar and the front squats. It's like
toes to bar and front squats. That's what it is.
100 double under 20. Well, they haven't told us what day anything is, but that's workout 2. Most people are assuming a 2-2-2 split, although I'm a little skeptical of that because of the teams only being on 2 days. So I feel like they might, because only 5 team workouts. Yeah. And so I feel like it could make sense to have a balance over the days, that like maybe the teams do 3 workouts on one day and 2 on the next. They have to. And then you guys do a long one in between. Like maybe they do 2, you do 1, they do 1 on the first day. Would be the potential to be 2 and 2 on the second day and save 3 just for individuals on the last day. I think that there's a possibility of something like that. But that's just me speculating based on really nothing.
Did CrossFit remove the semifinal? I think they might have removed the semifinal workouts.
Well, no, but I would say, I think based off of the workouts. I know there's the handstand walk one. I think I am not looking forward to, because I know I'm not going to be the best at it, but I'm looking forward to seeing how much better I've gotten at it. Because like at the first semifinal I competed in when it was at Atlas, so the first time we did team, I remember it was like ski, ring muscle ups, and then a 75-foot or 100-foot handstand walk, and it was a relay style, and I was the last on my team, and I couldn't even do handstand walking like 25-foot increments at that time, like under fatigue. Whereas now I've been working on it a lot, especially under fatigue, like out of breath, trying to control my breathing upside down. So I think that one will be cool in terms of seeing how much I've progressed, rather like not seeing, I'm not going to win the workout, but seeing how much I've improved just myself, especially when it comes to competing. And I know I'm insecure about that movement, just kind of like getting over that fear, I think will be cool. Because the handstand ramp also stumped me at the 2018 games. I didn't even go up it. I literally just stood at it the whole time.
I that's why I like asking that question that way, because you know, sometimes people are like, I love the snatch, I can't wait to snatch in front of a crowd. But it doesn't have to be that. Sometimes it's this process of working on something and then getting a chance to test it, even if you don't know how you're gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of just like, let's see what happens. Like, again, I shocked myself with the pirouette event. I didn't think I could do that unbroken, and I did. So that could be cool to see how things go with the handstand walk event. I think that one will definitely be fun. Not the rowing though.
Not the rowing part. Nina actually she has a gymnastics background, and she said the same thing. And I said, I don't know how much fun the 800-meter row is going to be, no matter how good you are at handstand walking.
Yeah, that's gonna suck.
But you know, it's the cool thing is, like, you know, handstand walking has been around in this sport for well over a decade now, and everyone can row. And so, you know, if you want to do well in that workout, you're gonna have to take a little risk somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what CrossFit is, right? You know?
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like all these workouts are like so simple, but to the point where it's like, it's just like, how hard are you going to hurt? Like, how hard are you going to hurt doing 800 meters and 10 clean and jerks or whatever at 125, the guy's weight. So I feel like it's just like, it's going to suck.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what you've been saying throughout the conversation, right? I saw them doing that, and man, it looked terrible, but like the good kind of.
But it's exactly. Like, you know, but it's like, how hard do you want to make it suck is really what at the end of the day is, how much do you want it to hurt? It'll be good. It'll be cool being down there with Jack and Emma and Josh, like being able to train with them, which will be nice too.
Do you have I would assume that your expectation is to just give your best effort throughout the weekend. But outside of that, do you have any concept of what a successful or unsuccessful weekend in Knoxville looks like for you?
I think just going into it, literally giving it my all in every workout, because I know if I do that, like, I'll be happy with myself. Obviously, a game spot is like best case scenario. Like, that would be amazing. Like, hearing your name get called for that top 10 or however many when they decide spots. Oh, finally the events, there they are.
Finally, I'm sorry.
Patrick was confused because they haven't published them on the games website yet, and I think that they're you know, they expedited the process to come out on YouTube.
I went to CrossFit and not CrossFit Games.
Oh, there you go. That's it. Yeah.
Sorry.
I apologize.
What event were we on? What event were we on? Sorry. Event.
We're way past the events now.
Okay. Right. Well, there they are.
But now we know what they are. The snatch event will be good too. Yeah, it'll be fun.
That workout's been around for 8 or 9 years. Have you ever done that workout?
I haven't. And Michael told me that, my coach. He's like, yeah, that's from semifinals, like however many years ago.
In West Coast.
2016, and then they had it in a qualifier 3 years ago in 2021. Yeah, it's not a new workout.
Yeah, I've never, for some reason.
Yeah, and the program they had at the West Coast Classic in 2021.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when Tola tried to touch and go and failed his second one. Yeah.
He's insane. That was like last year watching the Proven team like work out beside us. That was crazy. Like, they were insane. Like the squat clean workout was nuts. Yeah. Watching them, like, they're tanks.
Were they in the lane next to you then?
We were in the same heat. I think there were a few, like, I think we were always sitting on those outside spots, like the 9th or 10th. So we were always on like the outer lanes. They were always in the middle. But I would always try and like look over. Like because they would like crush it. That was super cool.
You mentioned the handstand, that, that's one of your maybe lesser known workouts. I mean, when you saw that final workout for team be announced, were you kind of bummed or excited that you weren't a part of that?
Oh, it was because you had to do I think it was 100 feet unbroken, right?
Down and back. Well, you had to go down the whole team. And
oh God, that would have stressed me out so much. I'm kind of happy we didn't do it.
Okay. Because
like it would have been, but that worm thing too, it was broken up. That was insane.
It was taking out people left and right.
Yeah.
The caterpillar, that's what they called it, right?
Around in the head. I'm like, oh my God. Luckily, I'm always in the middle for worm because I'm short. So like, I would have been fine in the clear.
Yeah, you don't lift anything.
Yeah. Poor Julie. Poor my one teammate Julie. She would have just gotten kept whacked around with that thing. But yeah, I would say I liked being a spectator on the last day of the games just because I got to like experience what it was like to being a spectator. Watching, but that event, I'm kind of happy we didn't do that one.
But you hated that experience being a spectator, right?
Yeah, no, I would way rather be an athlete. Yeah,
good answer. Sure. Good answer. So event 5, the squat snatch, and then going into the last one, 30.
That's nasty. That 72-foot walking lunge. That's going to be with the 70 pounds. This season, I've had like a little bit of a quad issue. So I wasn't able to lunge too much at the beginning of the season. So that 70-pound lunge is definitely something I'm going to have to work on the next few weeks for sure.
Well, you go the final week. So you have almost,
so we have all of
like a month to get ready, healthy.
Yeah, we'll be good. But that one will be a cool one to end it.
And you don't have to guess about what style of lunge it is or what style of handstand walk. You'll know all the information.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Jake's curious why you didn't wear your baseball hat. We told her to. She said maybe I'll put the hood of my sweatshirt on, but that's about all you're getting out of me.
Except I have a claw clip on, so it won't fit.
Oh, gotcha.
My hood's too tight.
All right, Erica. Well, I mean, look, Erica Folo, she qualified 4th in the North America semifinal this year. She was on a team at the games last year, competed at the games as a teenager a while ago. And in case you were wondering who she is, when you're seeing her name up there, now you know a little bit about her. And we are super excited. Me and Patrick, especially, Chad, I'm not so sure, to see you compete in Knoxville in a few weeks. We'll all be there. So we'll look forward to meeting you in person as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do you know anything about Tennessee or Knoxville?
No.
No, not at all.
I'm excited though. It'll be cool. It's warm there. It's just getting warm here, thank God. So I'll be excited. I'm excited to go down. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, it's weird because the competition we'll be going to the prior weekend will be at the tennis stadium outdoors, and then we'll be going indoors, and I believe it's basically a hockey arena.
Yeah.
So you'll feel like you'll feel like you're at home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Insert cliche Canadian joke.
Oh wait, that's a Canadian thing? Oh, my bad. I don't know. Sorry.
Actually, I was a little bit. You know that the Maple Leafs just lost in 7 games. I was kind of bummed about that.
No, not the Boston.
Yeah, they lost to Boston.
Boston doesn't need to win anything. And it's been too long since I think 1967 since the Maple Leafs won the cup. They need to do something about that.
They don't have a good streak in playoffs. But I don't watch hockey too much, so I don't know about you, Chad, but I'm not a big hockey person.
Chad isn't.
No.
Chad's a huge hockey.
I hate hockey. Hate it.
Yeah. Hate it. He hates being a fan of hockey. That's what he hates.
No, I hate the Leafs. I love hockey. Yeah. The Leafs are not Canada's chosen team to win the cup.
No.
Who
Since
is that?
1967.
Is it
But
the
certainly, it's
Senate-
not the Boston Bruins either.
It's the Senators.
Well, the Boston.
What do
Any
you
of the other teams.
who do
I
you-
actually don't even cheer for a Canadian
Oh.
team. I cheer for Colorado. But Edmonton or Vancouver likely are our best chances, with Connor McDavid being. We still have the most Canadian players and the best Canadian players, so we just don't have the money to have good Canadian teams.
Mm,
Well,
One
if
day.
you don't follow hockey, what do you do on your off time? I mean, you just veg out. Do you watch like Netflix or? I mean,
when it gets really warm out, I love to tan. Like I love tanning, so I always check the
Okay.
UV, and then I'll tan outside.
So
Other
that's
than
that's July and August. What about the other 10 months?
yeah, exactly.
she has a job. Well, no, I had a.
That's your best joke on this show up to this
Yeah, good
episode.
job.
90 episodes in, best joke for sure.
Oh yeah,
Well
I'm
done.
marking it. What time? 1:50. Do you work at a tanning bed in the off season? Just to
Oh,
get
I
the free
wish.
tan?
I
Oh, you
wish.
Why you haven't done that?
So what do I do on my free time? I coach on my
Yeah.
free time, like on days off. So my active recovery day, I'll coach. I've got into reading again, trying to read more because that's good, better than watching Netflix. And aside from that, that's about it. I just chill at the gym, read, and tan. Now I'll be tanning a lot more because that's priority before
Yeah, she
December.
got rid of the laundry from like
Yeah.
what was
Oh
it?
God.
Yeah, from Jersey. Was
Jersey
it
Shore.
Yeah, so she replaced it with reading, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Gym tan reading.
Yeah, there you go.
It doesn't get the same ring to it.
What was it? It was a GTR, wasn't it? Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
still GTR. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah. Or GTL or whatever. But anyways, yeah, GTL. Got it. Now it's GTR. Yeah. So yeah, well, was this your first podcast? Have you done?
I think so.
Okay.
I think
Well,
it is. It is my first podcast. Yeah. So this is
Well,
my
we're
first
That'd be
honored.
great.
Yeah, you did awesome.
So much fun.
We're honored you chose us.
Thank you for having me. This was great. It was
Yeah.
an awesome time. And I'll see you guys in Tennessee.
Yep.
We will be there. Thank you, Erica.
See
Great
ya.
to talk to you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Erica.
Two first timers on the podcast, not just on the B.Friendly podcast, but seemingly on any CrossFit podcast. So pretty nice to get to know both Nina and Erica, both phenomenal athletes. As I've been saying, the talent in the East is insane. Every athlete who's going to be there is incredibly fit and is going to have an opportunity to show their stuff. I think that maybe we'll see some different workouts where each of them really excels. But Erica in particular is an interesting athlete in the field because she hasn't done any individual competitions in the recent memory, but she has competed at a high level. She has trained with some high-level competitors. She's following that mammoth training program that seems to be pretty effective. But Chad, man, I love her attitude. She's like, compared to so many athletes you talk to, she's just, I'm sure she's intense and serious when it comes time to work out, but she just seems so chill.
She's very chill. Yeah. Like I watched her last year, quarterfinals in the gym, and usually that can be a stressful time with videoing and all that sort of stuff. And she was very much just like super bubbly and happy, all the way up to the 3, 2, 1 go. And, she's not really worried at all. Very chill mindset. And even at the semifinals in the games, like I'd run it, she'd be walking around, and I'd just run into her, and no stress. And when I asked her the nervous question about the games, I really feel like she just made up that answer because I don't think she was nervous at all.
She probably did. Oh man, but no, she Brian, you bring up a great point. She actually kind of reminds me of Devin in that aspect. Just kind of chill, bubbly. Just hey, I'm just here because I like fitness and I'm really fit and I'm good at it. We'll see what happens. If it doesn't turn out, hey, I got other things I can do. But it seems like she has a great head on her shoulders. Yeah, and just that depth of experience. And I believe if she does make the games makes the game, she might be the first one to hit every one of those stages from team to team, to
That's cool.
Yeah, if that happens, I'll check with Chad to find out for sure, because he's the only one who would definitely be able to verify that.
Yeah, I know that Devin is the first teen athlete to win a major, a major title.
Yeah, but she could also do that. She could also accomplish that this year.
Yeah,
And it was,
Exactly.
it's kind of funny. In 2019, 2 women in the same year became the first athletes to podium as both individual and team, not teenage, but team athletes at the CrossFit Games.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I thought it was such a cool thing. And then it was, but it wasn't like she's the first ever to do it. It's like they are the first ever to do it. So maybe we'll have a scenario like that. And that was Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie
Green at the time, and Camille.
Yeah, because she was with that what's it called, the Krypton team. Yeah, with
Cool.
Chad, thanks for joining us.
Jake,
thanks for having me.
Jake
as always.
Chapman, always with the best contributions on the show. Where do I get one of those funky hoodies you're wearing? This is actually this HGR CBD Athletics. They sent me this a while ago, and I didn't wear it until very recently, and I'm loving it. So I'm sure
I think he's talking about my awesome hoodie.
Oh, yeah, I think he was talking about Chad's hoodie.
You're wearing a black hoodie that has a sponsorship on it. I don't think
it says my name.
Funky.
It says Brian.
So. Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know.
Anyway, HGR CBD.
Mine's Vice Golf.
But the one that you were in charge of creating is one that Patrick's wearing. So
that's right.
Anyway,
hoodies and hats.
we have some shows.
Hoodies and hats.
We have some more shows. I know. Draw. What was I thinking? We had my name there. That's so arrogant. I apologize, guys. I am one of the most arrogant guys in CrossFit. I'm probably the most arrogant, actually.
The most. Yeah.
We have some other shows coming up this week. Tomorrow we'll be previewing the Athens Throwdown and catching up on some news. Me and Patrick. I'll be in Greece this weekend. Streaming Athens Throwdown Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you'll be able to watch all that on the YouTube channel as well for the elite divisions. And then Wednesday, Patrick's inviting some guests on, and he and they are going to look through my rankings for men, women, and teams in all 7 semifinals. I don't know how much depth they'll go into in each division and each region, but they'll have the time to look through that without any input from me. And then the following 3 weeks, I will come on Tuesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we will go into depth about why I ranked the athletes and the teams that way for each of the semifinals as they're coming up. So in week 1, we'll have Europe and Asia. In week 2, Oceania and the West, and then the East, South America and Africa on the last week. So that's kind of the rest of this week, and looking forward to semis. There'll be some articles coming out accompanying all that stuff. And if you don't get our newsletters, those always come out on Fridays. And if you want to support HGR CBD, who always is supporting us, code there at the bottom, FRIEND20 for 20% off of their products, which likely includes the sweatshirt. Ice cream for sure. I'll get an ice cream with you. I'm going to eat it while I'm giving you a back hug.
When I first read that, I don't know why.
Let's end it there.
When I first read that, I was like, are we getting a bear? I don't know why I kept on saying bear instead of beer. I'm like, why are we getting a bear? Like,
my God.
Bear? I don't get it. But
back hugs for everybody, and be friendly, our friends.